What is going on, y'all? It is your boy AT from AT
Barstool.
We're back here on episode 31 of AT's Barstool. Yes, we are finally back. I haven't made a video in a minute. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to follow my Instagram at AT's Barstool. Link will be in the bio. And with that being said, let's get into it. We are going to be talking about the DIAA State Playoffs 2026 this year, starting off with the Concord Raiders and the St. Elizabeth Vikings. As in my opinion, I think Concord is going to give them a real good battle. St. Elizabeth has been a really good team. And in my honest opinion, this St. Elizabeth team is great all around as a squad and as an overall unit. I 100% say St. E's can probably, not 100%, but I am sure that St. E's can beat Concord in this game with like a score like 59-64. That's my prediction for the Concord versus St. E's game. They got a lot of guys such as Michael Jones, Nefair Selters, Carmeli. They got Jaden Rajas coming off the bench. They also got guys like Emmanuel, who is a really good football player and basketball player, and he can score at any will, and also a really good defender. They got some guys, I think they are more deep than Concord, so I think St. E's is going to go into Concord High School, when is that, February 23rd on a Monday, and beat them, even though Concord has been really good this year with Sean Norwell, Mikey Wright, and also Carlin Hollis, who's been a really good piece. They got who transferred in from Dickinson last year. As y'all know, that he was a top 3 scorer on that team, on that Dickinson squad last year. And now he came to Concord, bring that same defense and playmaking and overall scoring ability to Concord, and it's really made a huge impact as Concord went from a 5-15 team last year to now what was it? Like 16-4 if I'm not mistaken. 15-5, my bad. They pretty much flipped their record around. And now they get a first round battle against St. E's. They've had multiple key wins too, Concord High School has, as they've taken down teams such as Caravel Academy, which was a huge upset win at the time, and they also took down teams like Sanford and Christiana, which Christiana, even though they're not a playoff team, they was not that bad this year. They was competing with everybody in the state this year, to be honest. They was actually a real underrated team that could have went far, and they've actually took on teams like Conrad, who they beat, who we all thought was supposed to be really good this year, but with the real tough schedule Conrad had, and even though those late wins against Archmere and Sally's really contribute to like possibly having a chance of making the playoffs, it still wasn't enough. They had a losing record. They was 8-12. They lost to teams that were not even in the playoffs, like Newark Charter, MOT Charter, and dropped games they pretty much should have never dropped. But that's besides the point. We all know Conrad is better than a 8-12 team. And yeah, and they also took down Delcastle, another playoff team, which I think Delcastle, I don't really think they deserve it. Even though they're 13-7, I still don't think so. But every loss Delcastle had was against really good teams. Like, they didn't lose to a bad team. If they did, they probably would have been out of there. But we're not here to talk about Delcastle. We're here to talk about Concord versus St. Elizabeth. And St. Elizabeth, I 100% already said it. I think they're going to win. They just have more depth. Their starting 5 is better. The bench is a little bit better than Concord's. Concord don't really have nobody that comes off the bench and really contributes like that, if you get what I'm saying. And it's the main reason why St. E's is going to win that game. I would not be surprised. Also, speaking of the DIAA State Playoffs, let me know which first round game y'all want me to go to. Link will be or not link in the bio. Comment down below which game I should go to, which first round game I should go to out of all the games we're going to talk about here. But yeah, for the most part, Concord, I think is going to lose and be a first round exit, despite being the 16th seed and having a home court advantage. And the next game that we're going to be talking about here in the state playoffs is the Stanford School Warriors versus Apple-Quinnipiac High School, who is a 9 seed. I say Apple has a great chance of winning. They should win. They're playing 24 seed Stanford. Stanford's the lowest seed in here. And ever since I've been in high school, or ever since I've been or known about Delaware high school sports and all that, like pretty much, this might be the worst Sanford team I've ever seen. Not just from a talent standpoint, but just from an overall like roster standpoint. Well, not, well, yeah, just like an overall roster standpoint, and just like how they play. It's terrible. This is probably the worst. I mean, we knew Sanford was going to look like a worse team than last year because they lost Jaden Taylor and all them, but I don't even think they're going to even get out the first round. I don't think they have no chance at all. Literally at all. I don't think they have a chance. And Apple, yeah, they're 9 seed. Yeah. Apple's a good team. They're really well rounded. Compared to Sanford, they should kill them. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they did play each other. Well, newsflash, no, they did not. They have never played each other. But I do think Apple is going to just kill Sanford, though. And I think it's not even going to be close. I got Apple going to make winning by like at least 20 in this game. Sanford has had some bad losses. They've lost to teams that they should have never really lost to, or any other year they should have never lost to. And the reason why they even in the playoffs, because of their tough schedule. Their record this year wasn't that impressive. They was 10-10, just like St. Mark's was. Same record as St. Mark's. Sorry for the random, stray St. Mark's, but yeah, they was 10-10. They lost to teams like Archbishop Bryan and John Carroll, who are really good out-of-state schools. To George School, they decent. Tatnall, who had Mason Collins, really good playoff team. William Penn, they lost to Sally's by 30, or almost 30, to be exact. They did compete with Concord, who's not a bad team this year, who's not that bad of a squad, but yeah. I mean, their only like quality wins they really had this season was like against St. Elizabeth, which I still don't understand how they beat them. St. Elizabeth is not a bad squad. I feel like if St. E's and Sanford had a rematch, St. E's would kill them. I don't know what happened at St. E's game. And I think that game definitely carried them to making the playoffs as being like a quality win. And then they did beat Conrad, who's not a bad squad. They just don't have any bench, or they just don't have no bench, no scoring coming off the bench. And that's really it. Sanford, though, they have great guard play. Not great, but they have good guard play. But once they play against good teams, they're nowhere to be found. They have guys like Elzir Elgood, Trevor Webster, Jacob Allen. They're not bad players, but after that, they have no one else to really rely on. They have no big that's going to dominate in the paint or play great defense. And Apple, they're well-rounded, as I said. They have guys like Desai Drummond, who's a big for them. They got solid guard play with Terrence Harvey, Donovan Grifford, and Dominic Monty-Bell. Not bad. This is a pretty like solid all-around squad. And honestly, Apple Quinneman can beat any good team in Delaware on any given day. We've seen it multiple times. There's a reason why Apple has won multiple games that people thought they should have never won. Despite them being pretty low scoring, Apple is a defensive team. They're going to play defense. And when it comes down to overall scoring, they're going to score all around. And that's what Apple has done and stand with. They've beaten teams like Del Castle by almost 20, Caravel, which was an upset, or pretty much an upset. They took down Newark Charter, who's a quality win. What's it called? They took down multiple good teams. They took down William Penn. Like, come on now. And William Penn's a top 5 team. What are they ranked? Top 3. My bad. A top 3 playoff team, by the way. And we're going to speak about William Penn soon. But, yeah, they took down a really good Penn team who plays excellent defense, too. But Apple, they they went home, or they played at home and just protected their home. They played their defense. They played their game against William Penn. Apple's going to run all over Sanford. That's all I'm going to say. No explanation, no questions asked. It's just going to be just like that. And then on to the next game. And the next game that we're going to be talking about in this DIAA State Playoffs is Laurel High School, 13-seeded Laurel High School, who was 14-6 this year, versus the Odessa Ducks, who's a 20 seed. Yes, a 20 seed Odessa Ducks team. And I really thought this Odessa team was not going to be that good. And they're also 11-9. Shockingly made the playoffs. Kind of shocking. But they played some competition, so I guess if you play competition, you make the playoffs. You just got to win. You just got to have a winning record at least. That's all you got to do. This roster, this Odessa roster is not that bad. They have guys like Zion Reddick, Jair Stewart, William Warfield, Jarvis Watson, George Nelson. They're not a bad squad. And they also got a freshman point guard, Kion Wallaburn. And Laurel with Khalil Burton and Zai. I think it's going to be a good game. That's not going to be a bad game. I do want to go to that game. I do want to see a downstate team play because I never really see downstate teams play. I see a lot of upstate, a lot of teams down in the Wilmington area, teams like, the Sallies, the AIs, who else? The Howards. I just see most of those teams play. I mean, I would probably go ahead and make a little trip down to like SG or Middletown, watch them play sometimes. But most of the time, it's like those teams in the Wilmington area. So I don't really know much about downstate. But Laurel, I know they're not a bad squad. I've only seen them play once this year. Haven't really seen much. Like, I'm not saying I've seen them play in person, but I've seen them like with my own two eyes, like a full game. But Odessa, I've seen them play before. Watched them with my own two eyes. They're not a bad squad. They just have a lot of height and a lot of defense, I say. And Odessa, that's the only way they could win the game this year against Laurel, is that defense. They have the height. They have the size. Mismatch over Laurel. Odessa should win this game. And I think this is a rematch from last year, too. I think this is a rematch from last year, but I think it was flipped the other way around. I think it was Odessa as the home squad and Laurel as the away team. I think we covered this. It was like 10 seed versus 23 or something like that. Yeah, both of these teams were. Now they're 13-20, and it's now flipped because Laurel's the better team, or the higher seed now, since they're 14-6 and Odessa's 11-9. But for the most part, I think this is going to be a defensive game. I think this might be like a 48-43 game where either or, it could go either way, to be honest. Odessa or Laurel. I think Odessa, though, for the most part, is going to probably win again, just like they did last year against Laurel in the playoffs, because their defense. Jair Stewart, he's a good defender. Zion Reddick. They have Jarvis Watson and William Warfield. All them guys can play defense. I mean, the only person that probably can't is their starting point guard, who's the freshman, Kion. But other than that, everybody else plays defense down in Odessa. I would not be surprised if Odessa goes ahead and upsets number 13 Laurel. I would not be. So my prediction is Odessa wins again, even though they're the 20th seed. And there's really not much to be said about this game. I just say Odessa's going to win. I've watched Odessa play. I've watched Laurel play this year. Odessa's going to beat Laurel. They have the size mismatch. If they don't take care of it, or they don't take care of business, then that is a huge problem going into the future. So yeah, that's it. And then after that, the next game we're going to be talking about is Caravel Academy versus Milford. Now, Milford, they're a really good team. They played against us before. I've watched them play before. They're not a bad squad. They have a lot of great guard play on this team. And they do have a solid big in Jacob Dickerson. But the real question is, are they going to hold up well enough against a Caravel squad who's been on a roll this year and it's been looking better than ever? That's the real question. This Milford team has Tamaj Hardy. They have the Bacon brothers, Kassan and Karin. They also have Mikey Mullen, who was just named All-Conference this year in the Henlopen North, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they're in the North. Henlopen North, and Jacob Dickerson. We already said him before, and they're not a bad squad. And then we got Caravel, who had Michael Strahan, what's his name? Prince McKnight, Naquan Lee. This is a good young Caravel team. This Caravel squad, I think, is going to have the edge over Milford, though. I think it's going to be a close game. This is actually one of the few games in the first round I actually want to go to. Outside from the Concord versus St. Elizabeth and what else? What other game that I wanted to go to? The Great Oaks versus Delcastle or AI Central. Out of all these games, though, I think the Caravel versus Milford game will be the best one out of all of them. The most entertaining one. Maybe Great Oaks and Delcastle because we'll talk about that game later. We'll talk about why that's going to be entertaining. But Caravel Milford, I genuinely think that that's going to be a great game. I've seen Milford play before, and I already told y'all they killed us by almost 50. But Milford, they've had some quality wins though. They've beat teams that, that's not bad, that they can beat. Like they took down a Smyrna squad, who is a top 8 team. If not, I think Smyrna can possibly, the only team I can see right now that can knock Dover off early. And it's kind of crazy to say. It's not even crazy to say. Smyrna lost to Dover by 1 early in the season. But yeah, they took down a Smyrna team who can compete with the best team in the state right now, which is Dover. And they can compete with teams like Caravel. I mean, not Caravel. They can compete with teams like Cape. They did lose a couple fluky games. They did have a couple fluky losses, though, this year. They lost to teams like Lake. Central was kind of fluky, which I think that's what got Central in the playoffs. I mean, not a lot of quality wins, but they've won multiple games. They're not a bad squad. Just know that. They're not a bad squad. They play good defense over there. The guard play is great. As I said, they're just not a bad team. I've seen them play before. I've seen Caravel play before. Caravel, they have good forward play. Something that's kind of rare. Like, not rare, but like, I don't know, it's unique in Delaware. Because this year, I feel like a lot of teams is either predominantly great guard play or predominantly great big man play. You know what I'm saying? Not really a lot of great forward play, unless it's like Dover or something like that, or Sally's maybe. But Caravel, they're one of the few teams that is kind of unique with great forward play. They have forwards like Naquan Lee and Prince McKnight, like we already said. They are more like a guard/forward. Ashai Macy, I think that's how you say his name. He's a good forward. They're not a bad squad. I can see Caravel win this game, and I feel like this going to turn out to be a high-scoring shootout where it might turn out to be into overtime, double overtime. I'd 100% say that this might be the game or the best game in the first round to go to. Caravel versus Milford. Trust me. Y'all can all go there. Trust me. It's going to be a great game. Them two, great offenses, pretty solid defenses. I'm telling you, it's going to be a good game. One of the games I really want to watch, honestly. And yeah, that's it for the most part for Caravel and Milford. I think it's going to be a 50-50 chance of who's going to come out on top. I mean, even though the game's down at Caravel, still 50-50. Milford's a good squad. So, yeah, and the winner of that has to play Middletown. And, shoot, I think that bracket's going to be the most entertaining. That top bracket that we just mentioned, is going to be great. Especially when it comes down to second round, I feel like there's going to be some great second round matchups, or great potential second round matchups in the top of that bracket. Because we can probably see a Caravel versus Middletown, Milford versus Middletown. We might see a SG versus Laurel. What's another good game? Smyrna versus Appo. St. E's versus Dover. St. E's versus not St. E's versus Dover. Like, anything can happen. Even in the quarterfinals, we could probably mess around, see a rematch. Dover versus Smyrna. Mess around, see a SG versus M-Town in the quarterfinals. That top bracket part is going to be one of the most entertaining ones. It's in that bottom part, not really, because I feel like we already know that's who's going to be in the semis. or who's going to be in the quarterfinals coming out that bottom bracket. But the top of the bracket is going to be really entertaining. That's it for the first 4 playoff games in the first round. We're going to go down to the bottom bracket. We're going to go down to number 15, Tatnall and Archmere, and number 18, Archmere. My bad. And yeah, as for the Tatnall versus Archmere game, I'm going to say, you already know my answer to this. Y'all should know it. It's going to be Tatnall. And one thing about Tatnall is they got disrespected bad this year. I think they highly got disrespected pretty bad this year. And I mean that. I mean, you can look at the seeding already. 15 seed. We was thinking, I think everybody in the state was thinking that, oh yeah, Tatnall's going to be a top 5, maybe top 10 seed. Every Delaware page was saying Tatnall is a top 10 team. Starting in preseason, they were saying that. I was like, okay, that's kind of crazy. But it's reasonable, though, because you literally have a 5-star who's what, number 7 in the country, Mason Collins? Yeah, you have one of the best players in the state of Delaware that Delaware's ever seen. And you're telling me that he just led them to a 16-4 record, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, was it 16-4? Yeah, 16-4 record. Never lost to a single Delaware team. I know the competition was at best. They played against teams like Sally's. That's a playoff team. Really good squad. First game of the year. At Sally's, by the way. Sally's is a team. Actually, not a team. They're a pretty good team this year. But Sally's, at Sally's, the Salesianum High School, Salesianum at the Burke. They went down to the Burke and beat Sally's, even though they beat them by 2. That's still one of the toughest places to play by far. Or not by far, one of the toughest places to play overall. That crowd is packed every single game, every single year. No matter how good. Sally's can be 1-19. They can be 8-12 for anything, for all I care. They can be 20-0. It don't matter. Sally's, the Burke is always going to be packed every year. Everybody wants to see Sally's either win or lose. Those are the games everybody goes to. And the fact Tatnall went all the way down to Sally's and took them down, hats off. Hats off. First game of the season, too, by the way. Oh, snap. I think I just... Oh, Lord. Oh, God. Yeah. My pen just got messed up. Funny. That's besides the point, though. Sally's, at Sally's, though, God forbid, they beat them at the Burke. That should be just extra points. Just being Sally's at the Burke, that should be extra points for that. First game of the season, come on now. First game. Sally's usually turn everybody up. Sally's always turning everybody up the first game of the season. At Sally's. Home openers, Sally's always turning things up, no matter who they play. Whether it's St. Andrews, whether it's, what's it called? Yeah, it don't matter who. Whether it's some really good PA school, it don't matter. Sally's is going to turn y'all up. And the fact that Tatnall had the audacity to put Sally's as their first game at the Burke, at Sally's, and went in there and beat them, it's crazy. It don't matter. And Sally's is still a good squad. Sally's is 11-9, yeah. But still, they're still a good squad. They can compete with anybody in the state, by far. Definitely. No matter what. And that Tatnall squad with Mason Collins and a bunch of other really young freshmen and other guys on that team, I mean, what help does... I mean, he does have a lot of help, too. I mean, the rest of the guys on that team is also pretty good. We're not going to act like it's just Mason Collins, by the way. They got guys like Ellis Jarrett, who was injured for half of the season. But he probably would have been an all-conference player in the independent if he wasn't injured for like half of the year. Aladdin, or what's the name? Aya, something like that. McLennan. Yeah, number 5 on Tatnall. I know I should be knowing these guys' names. It's crazy. It's been a minute. But, Yeah, he's been doing really well. He's been putting up almost like what 15, 20 a game also. He's been really well. Nolan Parsons, the freshman point guard, the real short point guard, he's been doing his thing. They've had other guys, senior James Hall, who's been their shooter, Justin Wright, another guard who can score off the bench, and Jalen Littlejohn, who's been a pretty decent big for them outside from Collins. Telling you, this team is good. This is a young, good Tatno squad. This Tatno team has crazy potential. They could probably go ahead and win states in the next like 3 years from now, 2, 3 years. They can. It depends. If everybody stays and gets better, they can definitely do that. But this year, this Tatno squad was really good. Only losses they had were against PA schools. They didn't do nothing wrong to lose. They didn't lose. They didn't have no fluky losses. They had a couple games where it was close and it kind of should have never been close to begin with. Like, for example, let's go to the Odessa. Odessa, I thought that game was going to be a blowout. They're both good teams, but I thought that was going to be a blowout. But I've also came to realization that Odessa's defense is as good as I thought it was. It's not as good as I did not expect. And then they also had a couple close ones too. Tower Hill was close until Tatno started pulling away. Watched that game live. Sanford should have never been close. Friends also was close too. That's a bit concerning. But then again, you're double teaming, triple teaming one guy. So, yeah, but still, you should be winning by at least 20. That is a little bit concerning, I can see. But other than that, though, they still took care of business. They still won games that they should have won. And they still won games against teams that were really good and that are all in the playoffs. They took down Sally's playoff team, MOT, winning record, beat them by 30, by the way. Friends, barely over 500, beat them by almost 20. And Friends, they're not a bad squad. They only lost to PA schools, literally. Academy of New Church, really good school in PA. Springside Chestnut Hill, really good PA school. Friends Central, another really good PA school. St. Joe's Prep, probably the best PA school they played. And not only that, they was competing with every single one of them. They did not lose by 20. They've only won by 20 or 30. They've never lost by 20. In Delaware teams, after losing to St. Joe's, they killed Conrad by almost 30. Almost 30. At home. Beat Sanford. Held St. Andrews to 16 points. I mean, Archmere, they did the same thing. They actually held Dickinson to 13. Kind of nuts. Chill. But, come on now. And you're telling me they're a 15 seed. I say that, Tatno, if I was doing the brackets and all that, which one day hopefully I can, if Delaware lets me to. If the brackets came down to me, Tatno would not have been a top 15. They would not be a 15 seed, honestly. I would say Tatno would be probably about a top 10. Especially that every single loss was against a good PA school. And all their wins were against Delaware schools. Whether it was good, bad, or decent. Playoff, no playoff. You're still undefeated in Delaware. In my state, you're still undefeated in my state. Tatno should be a higher seed than 15. That's all I gotta say. They should be close to like first round bye level. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they're better than some of the teams that have a first round bye, but they can definitely compete with any of them, to be honest. I mean, that's the only thing. They haven't really ran into a team that, is good enough to have a first round bye. They've played playoff teams. I think that's the reason why. Like, if they did play against a Seaford, Penn, SG, M-Town, Smyrna, or Dover, and beat them, automatically first round bye. But they haven't played any of those yet, and I think that's the reason why, because they haven't played a team that's top 8 in their opinion. And in our opinion too, but their opinion too also. They just beat playoff teams that are good, that are pretty good in the state. But all I gotta say is Tatno should beat Archmere. I think they played each other too early on, or during the season. No, they did not. I thought they did, but I guess not. I do think Tatno is going to win this game by at least 15. 15 plus. I mean, there's no need to talk about Archmere over here. I mean, we can. I mean, yeah, they have Khalif, they have Johnny, they have Kevin, Kowalski, they have Hagenberg. But who exactly on that Archmere team is guarding the man himself? No Glaze, but who's guarding Mason Collins on Archmere? Tell me. Name one person. Name two. Nobody. They're going to have to double and triple team him, obviously. And who's that going to lead? And what's that going to lead to? Guys like McLennan to score, have a 20-point game or whatever. Nolan probably mess around, maybe have a 10-point game. If Ellis is healthy and is playing in the playoffs, maybe Ellis put up 10, 15. Because he's not a bad player. He's a pretty good point guard. If anything, I think he probably would have been a starter. Or he would have definitely been a starter if he wasn't injured for half of the year. But since you're injured for half of the year and you haven't really doing much since you came back, then yeah, you're not going to start. But if he was starting and back at full health, he could probably give you 15 a night if he wanted. He's not a bad player. I've seen him played against him. He's not a bad player. And then the other guys, the other young guys, they're going to get their little points in. So yeah, I say Archmere by 15. I mean, not Archmere. Tatno by 15. Tatno is going to probably play against Howard, and that's a game I really want to go to. Howard versus Tatno, really good one. Mark my words. But that's the truth of the matter. Let's go to the AI versus Central. Now, AI, I'm going to be honest, I think AI is going to win this game 100% for good measure. For good measure. AI has amazing guard play. They're 17-3 for a reason. They only lost to teams like Great Oaks, which definitely was the ticket for Great Oaks to be in the playoffs. Even though they had a real questionable loss early in the season to DMA, but they took down an AI squad who was on a roll to begin with in the year. And I was honestly thinking they're playing some bad teams. One of those, come to find out, one of those teams is a 13. Oh, snap. One of those teams are a 13 seed in the playoffs in Laurel, which that was one of their first few wins before losing to Great Oaks. But overall, I've seen this AI team play. They're not a bad squad. They're going to play in transition. Really good transition team. They're pretty much like a Howard. Pretty much a Howard squad. AI is pretty much like Howard. Just like no big though. Or not no big, but like just not a like true big man. You know what I'm saying? They don't have a true big man who's going to give you 9-10 apiece. And yeah, they have what's his name? They have Tevin Cannon, but Tevin, I'm gonna be honest, he's really more like a forward than a guard. But he plays as their big because they don't have no one as big as him. He's like what, 6 foot 6'1", and then also just big weight wise, to be honest. And he can move, and he can move like a guard. But for the most part, AI should beat Central. This should be an easy win for AI. I don't think Sussex Central has any chance of winning this game unless like Central just comes out just killing AI or AI just has an absolutely terrible game, to be honest. But I don't think Central is a bad squad. I mean, are they good enough to make it far in the playoffs? No. That'll be the one of the few teams in the first round, or one of the few teams I will least expect to make a far run. The other few teams that I think would not make a far run is like a Del Castle, Great Oaks, Archmere, a Sanford, or like in like Odessa. I'd be surprised if Concord even does that. And I only say Concord, they could make a run if they was not running into Dover. If Concord was not running into Dover after they beat St. East, or if they potentially beat St. East, yeah, it's going to be really tough for Concord to even pass that level. But because they got to face St. East and Dover, I would give them double props. But we're not here to talk about Concord. We're here to talk about Central and AI. My opinion is AI wins this game It's going to be a high scoring game, but I think AI wins by 20, but it's going to be a pretty high scoring game. As I said, I think AI is going to put up 80 on Central. It's probably going to be like an 80 to 61 win for AI. AI doesn't play that much defense, but Central doesn't have an offense that's that great. If anything, I'm surprised Central made the playoffs. All the highlights I've seen from Central, or just everything I hear about Sussex Central, they keep being embarrassed. Like, I be hearing from the downstate area, I be hearing, oh, they got blown out by Dover. I mean, Dover's Dover. You can't, you know what I'm saying? Cape, Smyrna, that's really good competition for them. They played some really good competition downstate. Some of the best in downstate. They did take down the Laurel squad, which we just talked about. That was a 13 seed. They also lost to Milford, who's a pretty good team. I don't know. I just feel like every time I hear about Central, they're always getting embarrassed in some kind of way against one of these playoff teams. But when it comes down to other teams, not so good squads, they beat them. They haven't really beat any like great competition outside from Milford. They beat because they played Milford twice, mind you. They played most of their conference teams twice. I don't know why, but it's like downstates in their own world. But yeah, Milford, they beat them by 2 points the second time around at Central. The first time they lost by 9. Yeah, they had a few quality wins. Nothing crazy, but they had a few. And they also had a winning record to begin with. So yeah. Honestly, Jaden Lewis, I don't think he's gonna be like just good enough to like lead them to a win over AI. While AI has guys like Jaleel Conrad, Amir Robertson, Tico Jones, and Tevin Cannon, who's all been really well this year. And honestly, I'm gonna just say this: it's not gonna be well, and I think that first quarter might be bad anyway. It's probably gonna be like 25 to like 6 or something, or 25 to 9 in like the first quarter. I don't know. AI is gonna put up almost 30 in that first. I promise you that. That's not gonna be a good game. And yeah, we gonna have to see though. I think AI is gonna win by 20 plus. That's my opinion. I played against them. I've watched them play. They're not a bad squad. They're a really good team, and they have great yard play. So yeah. And the next game we're gonna talk about here is Great Oaks versus Delcastle. 14 seed Great Oaks versus a 19 seed 13 and 7 Delcastle squad. 14-4 Great Oaks. I got them winning. I don't know who's gonna win this game, honestly. This is gonna be an entertaining and funny game. The reason why I say it's gonna be a funny game, and I usually, take these games serious when I watch them, it's just like Great Oaks and Delcastle. You probably like on any given day or any given year, you tell me that Great Oaks is playing Delcastle in the playoffs, I would laugh. I mean, shoot. I would have never thought we would see this type of matchup in the playoffs at that Great Oaks being in there this soon. I thought probably maybe 10, 15 years from now, maybe Great Oaks be in the playoffs. I didn't even know they was even allowed to be in the Delaware State playoffs. It's just been a crazy and probably one of the most unique years of high school basketball I've ever seen in my life. I'm used to seeing Sally's being dominant, Dover being dominant, who else? Smyrna being good and having potential, Cape being good, having potential, Middletown being good, or real dominant, being top 5 every year. They still is though. SG being a playoff team, not top 5 worthy, but playoff team. But now we've seen SG consistently be a top 5 team now, or turning into one, and possibly going to be top 5 again, top 10 probably this season. Oh my lord, this pen is actually breaking. Holy moly! I'm just gonna stop messing with this now. All right, but seriously though, I would have never thought it. Howard's Howard, Penn's Penn, Seaford's kind of Seaford. But the first round is so weird to me. It's so weird. This is a unique first round. Like Great Oaks and Delcastle. Great Oaks was allowed to be in the playoffs. The same Great Oaks team that lost to a 5-15 DMA squad. even though they took down a 17-3 AI team. I don't even know what to say. This team is led by Thomas Harrell, who's been a really good guard for Great Oaks, and he has been dominant. Been putting up double doubles as a point guard, like points and rebounds. Like he's been putting up 15, 10 games. It's insane. He's had some help too with Ramir Bailey. Who else? Whitley. What's it called? Areem. Yeah, Areem Boardley. He's had some help. It's some unique help, and it's a unique team. Del Castle with Stephon Reed, Urel Stevens, Chinese Kamara, who's been amazing. He was an all-conference player this year. This team's been good. This Del Castle team's been pretty good this year. They played some good competition. They have not beaten a team who's been, who's like really good, but they've played some of the best. They played against Howard. They lost it, like all their losses this year were quality losses. And it's reasonable that they're in the playoffs, kind of. I mean, they lost to Concord, lost to Howard. You hear those teams? Concord's a 16 seed. Howard is a top 2 team in the state. Middletown, they got beat by almost 50, but Middletown's a top 5 team in the state also. Really, all those teams I just said 2 teams that are in the first round bye. A number 2 team and a 5 team. And then a 16 seed that's in the first round. But they competed with Concord, though. They was competing with Concord, by the way. Don't get it twisted. William Penn lost by almost 20. Lost by 17 that game. Top 3 team in the state. Odessa. Odessa's probably the worst one. And they're a 20th seed. Who else did they lose to? St. George's by almost 40. And SG's a top 4 team. Like, all these teams I'm saying, they're really good. Apo. They're a 9 seed. A top 10 team. They've lost to, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 top 10 teams. They have lost to 5 top 10 teams in the state. Have they had any quality wins? Yes, they had Caravel. Yeah, that was really it. I mean, Odyssey wasn't that great this year, I'm going to be honest. They didn't play no competition. Christiana, they was low-key competing with everybody this year. They had a great start to the season. Then they had a crazy collapse. But then again, they really started playing competition. Then they started losing. For the most part, though, they was winning the games they were supposed to win. I mean, the one sketchy win they had, or that was like kind of sketchy, was Red Lion. Because they only won that game by 2. And Red Lion's not that great of a squad. Even though they went 10-10. A little bit sketchy, but it is what it is. They still took care of business for the most part. And yeah, I don't know who's going to win this game. I mean, I think Del Castle's going to win because, they're more of an older program. And I think they have somewhat of a better team with Urel, Stephon Reed. I've watched Del Castle play. They're not bad. They play as a team. They have big bodies in there, like at the 1. Like, not at the 1, but like their shooting guard to center is pretty big compared to Great Oaks. Great Oaks do have a 6'6" big, but that's really it. And Thomas Harrell, who's been putting up almost 20 a game. It was all non-conference. But honestly, it's going to be a close game. I got Del Castle winning this game by at least 5. This is going to be another low seed I think it's going to win. And then just on to the next. But it's just going to be a really funny game. Because, like, Del Castle and Great Oaks in the playoffs playing each other. In my senior year, I would never thought I would be talking about this game. Or ever since starting this podcast, I would not even be talking about a playoff game. A Del Castle versus Great Oaks playoff game. But we're here now. Y'all. This is a weird year. And at last but not least, in the first round, the Salesianum South versus Woodbridge High School. At Sally's, I do want to see Woodbridge play because I've never really seen Woodbridge play. And this might be my last year ever seeing them play anyway because I'm going to be off to college and all that next year. I don't know exactly what college I'm going to. I haven't made that decision yet. Still have a couple months to make that decision, to be honest. But yeah, for the most part, though, I am living. I am living. I am living to my fullest. I'm making videos, still playing sports, even though my basketball season's ended because, we wasn't that great for basketball this year when we could have been better. But it is what it is. All good things have to come to an end. But yeah, Sally's versus Woodbridge, it's obvious. Sally's, I got them winning. And then they play Seaford. I think that's going to be a good game. Sally's versus Seaford, that's a unique game. A game I really wanted to see years ago. But now we get Sally's versus Seaford in 2026. I've never seen Sally's play Seaford in the past. I really wanted to see, like, that Sally's team with, like, Isaiah Henson a couple years back, Justin Kareem and all them play against a Seaford squad who had Brett Ricketts that year, or a Seaford squad who had the Matthews brothers. Ooh, that would have been a great game. That would have been an entertaining game to watch. And great offensive game to watch. It would have been crazy. But for the most part, I think Sally's is 100% going to win top to bottom. They're just great top to bottom. Starting five, the bench. The starting five, they have Latrell, they have Bree. Sully does start, I think. If I'm not mistaken, I think he still does. For the Sally squad, who they have? Mark Brown, Kevin Coleman. Oh, yeah, Dominic Downs. I think Dom starts over Sully now. Or, I don't know. But, yeah, Sally should absolutely destroy Woodbridge by, like, 20. If they don't, I will be surprised. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that Sally's win, but I would be surprised they didn't beat him by at least 20. As they only have Tasson Williams Conway, who's a really good junior point guard, who I've seen, he's put up 15 a game. He's a really good scorer, but I don't think he's going to single-handedly take down a Sally squad who has a lot of people and a whole Division III commit in Dominic Downs. For the most part, my honest prediction for all these pretty much is I want to see a 17 St. E's versus Dover high school game in the second round, a Smyrna versus Apo, an Odessa versus SG second round, a Caravel versus Middletown second round, a Tadno versus Howard second round, an AI versus Cape second round, a Delcastle versus Penn second round, and the Sally's versus Seaford second round. That's pretty much my prediction. If you guys are new to this channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys for enjoying this video. I know I've been talking for a minute. I'm finally back. I'm going to try to consistently make videos again. We are coming into spring sports soon. And if you guys want to see more interviews, Jesus. If you want to see more interviews, though, don't forget to comment down below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to follow my Instagram page at AT's Barstool. And with that being said, thank you guys for enjoying. I'm finally back. Thank y'all for the support, too. We are almost at 300 subscribers, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Tell your people, tell your family, tell your friends. And with that being said, we are out. Peace.